When I try to write horror stories, I purposely avoid setting them around Halloween. Not to say I dislike the holiday for any particular reason. Far from it. I love it. It's one of the time of the year that my passion is sensible to anyone around me. Otherwise, I get confused glares over why I'm writing about rolling heads and blood fountains in the middle of April. No, I'm no longer looked at as a weird guy who's into crazy stuff, while everybody is enjoying the current prime time that everyone else is raving about. Instead, they implore me to share my stories. They want me to be scared around that time of the year. But as much as they ask for it, I don't write Halloween stories. The answer is actually rather plain. I don't like to, but it feels almost too generic to set your story around the most cursed time of the year, the night where the gap between the living and the dead is at its finest. Spiritual energy is not almost critical density, and the most mysterious and spooky miracles can occur, and I don't want to be thrown into that lot, especially since its limits are at the reach of the story. In my eyes, once Halloween is over, there's no reason for people to be engaged with it. Good horror should be able to stand on its own two legs outside of that one day of the year. I know there are those who would disagree with me, but that's just how I feel, and so I don't tend to write about it. Until this past Halloween, that is. I tend to lean on the fantastical with my tales, never really drawing from personal experience one-to-one. But after that night, I feel that I could write this one down. I just think it's too weird not to be shared, and it might get a scare out of a few of you. So here goes nothing. Being a Halloween enjoyer, as I explained earlier, I have prepped my house with trick-or-treaters with all the props I had. Fake spider webs, plastic skeletons sticking partly out of the bushes, some creepy colored floodlights, and over the classic jack-o'-lanterns. My wife was taking our son out, so I was on door duty, handing out the goods to the neighborhood kids. I laid back in a lawn chair with a massive bowl in hand, fake blood marks across my face and tattered clothes on with the straw poking out from the edges. The wide brim that hat that made a little tricky to see at times, but that just made my occasional jump scares a little more frantic and realistic after all. From the sidewalk, I just looked to be a normal prop scarecrow. This was unfortunately the wrong play to make for the particular group of teenagers. After startling my low-effort ghost face with a wild scream, someone pulled the hat down hard over my eyes. My instincts took over to lift it back up, but it was stuck on the tip of my nose. "Come on, grab some quick! Serves them right!" Before I could get the hat off, I heard the slapping of sneakers take off down the street, and once I could see again, the bowl had been nearly cleaned out, with little to no candy left on the ground either. With a grumble, I decided to call it a night anyways, since it was starting to get late. I dragged the lawn chair back around the house and made my way towards the front to turn off the lights. That's when I spotted her, a young girl, probably in her preteens, standing on my porch. She wore a white and blue dress, slightly frazzled hair flowing from big black ribbon, and carried a tiny basket under her arm, which did not appear to be overflowing with hard-earned treats. Of course, just being a plain Alice in Wonderland for Halloween couldn't cut it, and so she had a hideous smear of black eyeliner across her upper face up to the spookiness. If her eyes were missing, I would believe them to have been burnt out of their sockets. It just wasn't her eyes that gave me the undead vibe, however. Big bloodstains surrounded her mouth, split it down her chin. Her skin, paper frail as it appeared, clung to her extruding bone structure, and its shade, white as winter snow, pale as true death. It was truly as though the corpse had come to visit me in this All Hallows Eve, but it was her expression that gave me the largest pang of sympathy. The poor girl looked absolutely horrified, and she was staring directly at me. Maybe my outfit was just too much for the poor thing. "Happy Halloween!" I initiated, raising a hand, and as I approached my front door, I took off the hat and tried to smear off as much of my own makeup as I could, before tilting the bowl back forward to show it was empty. "Just a second, let me see if I got anything left inside." Her eyes dropped for a moment before meeting my gaze again and nodding slightly. I smiled back and turned to walk inside when she let out a scream. No, wait! I had one foot in the doorframe as I pivoted, nearly losing my balance as I rushed to look at her again. What? What is it? But again she went quiet. We were simply standing out there, staring at one another. I could see her lips attempting to make some words, but nothing would come out. I decided to try and prompt for an answer for her fear. Are you all right? Do you need help? Call your parents? The girl's mouth opened wider this time, but still an explanation would not come out. I could see her lips were horribly cracked, and offered of water felt like it was about to leave my own mouth. She took a deep breath, still watching me oddly enough, before speaking. Please, don't let me out of your sight. My brow furrowed as I turned to close the front door while I spoke with her. She screamed again. Dad, please don't do that. A flicker of frustration began to take hold. Look, I don't know if this is some kind of prank or haha trick or treat, but if it's something serious going on, I'm sorry, I'm just... She lowered her head, trying to lower her gaze, but I could still see her rapidly and repeatedly checking to see if I was still looking at her. Yes, I need your help. Guilt replaced my anger, and I sighed. Well, all right, do you need me to call your parents? The police? Did someone attack you? No, nothing like that. I just need your help. Are you John Heffler, right? For the third time in less than a minute, my state of mind shifted, now known of to concern, not only for her, but for myself. This random girl screeching at me not to look away from her, blew me by my name, but I hadn't had a clue on earth on who she was. Still, if she needed help, who I was to turn away a kid in need. Yes, I am, I responded hesitantly. Then I can't let you look away, please. I don't understand. I scratched my head, gazed up and back down the block before quickly meeting her eyes again to make sure she wouldn't cry again. Why me especially? Alicia held her forearm with delicate fingers. I could hear knuckle joints popping as she did so. I don't know how to explain it. Well, please, try to, please. My family will be home soon and I'm packing up for the night. Everyone else has done this street. If you went trick-or-treating far too from home, I'm sure the police would be happy to take you home, or maybe I can... Alicia. My name is Alicia. Well, nice to meet you, Alicia. But it still doesn't answer my question. Do you need me to call someone? Once more, she went silent. I was completely flabbergasted by this encounter, and the hay stuffed between the seams of my outfit were starting to itch real bad. I put a hand on the doorknob and turned, opening my way inside while still keeping an eye on her. Look, I don't know how to help you. If you're not comfortable with me talking about it, I can grab my phone and you can tell the police then. Alicia stepped forward, stopping at the base of my small porch landing. Okay, yes, let's do that. Okay, just a minute then. I nodded slowly, perturbed by her behavior, and stepped into my house. As I tried to close the door behind me, though, I felt the resistance. I found Alicia making her way towards my house, that nervous look still riddling her face. I sighed and gestured for her to follow. The smell of burnt pumpkin was mingling my wife's autumn spice candle. It was the assault on the nostrils, and since I was done for the night anyhow, I decided to tame on one side and put out the jack-o'-lantern on the windowsill at least. I gave it a glance to the girl, but surprisingly she gave me no reaction to the sticky, overwhelming stench. Perhaps she really enjoyed every aspect of this holiday, including cruel pranks. At first I tried to lead her inside, but Alicia refused to leave my line of sight, to the point of trying to walk abreast with me, despite the hallway on the phone not accommodating it. Alicia, please, just let me get to... I didn't even bother finishing, because no matter where I turned, where'd she be? Always where I could see her, always watching me. As parents, we always tell the kids not to wander off, where we can't see them. This girl was taking that command into almost literal meaning. My suspicions of abuse began to increase just slightly. She stayed still until the entire time I was on the phone with the cops. Even when I tried to offer the phone to her, it took longer for her to convince them that I would have preferred, but it was understandable. The cops getting on a call on Halloween about a creepy young girl tormenting someone was probably all too common prank. But eventually I was able to assure them of my seriousness. I told them about her strange behavior as quietly as I could, using that obstructing languages adults do around children. But I knew she understood. A small ripple of pain, rejection, emanated across her face, but still she stayed. Once the call was complete, I took Alicia back to the porch. She reached out for my hand to lead, since I wouldn't let her do the hallway shuffle again. Taking her back the way seemed to do the trick. Her hand was not as soft as I expected a child's to be, but rather emulated the texture of what my brain had comprehended to, peeling layers of paper, grinding out the dust between my fingers. Once in the porch, I turned on the light and kneeled down to explain the situation for her. It was tough keeping my face from scrunching up and scrunty, though. She looked far more paler than under the yellow light that I had fought prior. The black smear surrounding her eyes like a banded mask was also cracking, revealing bags upon bags of exhaustion breaths beneath. Still, I held my firm position on the matter. The police will be there in a few minutes. They're going to ask some questions for you, where you live, who your folks are, and then they're going to take you home just like that. Her eyes widened at the thought of leaving, and she shook her head fiercely. No, please! You can't let them take me away! I stood back up. Alicia, I don't know you. I don't know why you know me, but this has to stop now. Please! She whispered. I bit the inside of my cheek as I debated the next question in my head. Are you afraid of your parents? Have they done something to you? You are my parent! My heart dropped in an instant. Sickness clenched in my guts with an upsetting fist. What? Once more those silent lips moved, struggling for an answer. It's you, she said quietly. Too many questions were now spiraling around. I fought back trying to recall any of my girlfriends I may have finished with that could possibly lead to this. Only one came to my mind, Jackie, but it had been so long since then and the relationship so quick. I couldn't recall her last name. Wait here. I turned and hurried upstairs, leaving the screaming girl behind. By the time I was on the second floor, she had stopped. Perhaps Alicia was just seeking attention. But I had another goal in mind now, and I needed a moment away from her weirdness. Within my bedroom closet, I searched for my old boxes somewhere between the family photo albums and old school medals for track. I found it. My high school yearbook graduating year. An instinct in invincity, it made me check the covers first. They were covered in teenage chicken scratch mixes of well-meaning wishes from dear friends and half-hearted goodbyes from people who just wanted to sign something. Eventually I stumbled across Jackie's note, rather written painfully, but still thanking me for a great prom night. I shook my head trying to clear the memory. That was certainly a possibility for how I could have another child I've never met. But of course no last name. The yearbook signature was too casual for that. So my fingers raced for the class photos next, speeding across countless faces of classmates I'd seen long since forgotten about. But finally under the F's, Jackie's last name. I got up and hastily went back downstairs to call and confirm it was Jackie, was Alicia's mother. Don't do that again, please. I thought I was about to have a heart attack when the girl howled at me. I gave her a glare to end all glares, channeling her as much disapproving energy as I could towards her. But Alicia still gave me that pale-faced look. In fact, you look awfully pale. Do you want some water or something? I think there's still some juice boxes in the big juice box out there. I'm poorly made, John. An exasperated huff was forced out of my lungs. I'm calling your mother. It's Jackie, right? I stared down at the hallway, but as my head swung away, I could hear the girl begin crying. I couldn't take it anymore. My frustration boiled over. What? I shouted. But please, don't forget about me again. I disappeared. I thought she misspoke. No, I didn't disappear on you. I just went upstairs. You're not listening. I disappeared. Her fatigued stare grew wet with tears. No effort to make them wash away. They mixed with the makeup to create black streaks that trickled down her cheek, staining unholy river lines on the way down. I stopped in the hallway. She had my full attention as I attempted to understand what she meant. An inkling of an idea burrowed around in the pile of possibilities. but I had dismissed it as a fantastical garbage. A good concept for a story, though. Yes? Alicia whispered. Her voice was growing hoarse. Yes, what? That thought, your guess. Each word sounded like as though they had been drawn deep from within her, taking her last gasp of breath along with them. Her whole form seemed cracked with exhaustion. That's twice now. How are you doing that? My feet had unconsciously began to shift me towards her. Her head swung limply towards the window. They'll be here. Only 43 more words. Would you please make an ounce of sense? This isn't funny anymore. You got me. Haha, trick or treat. What do you want? Some candy? Come on, outside. 14. Alicia. I nearly started to shout again, completely out of patience, but quickly blipped as siren brought relief from this confusion. Her gaze dropped from the window to my feet. If you let me leave your mind one more time, then I'm done for. Please don't let them take me. I didn't bother responding this time. I was done with the games. I walked past her and opened the door for the approaching officers. They took the sullen girl out of my house and led her to their cruiser, then asked me the expected round of questions. I answered as best I could, still completely confused by everything she had been saying. The officers initially suggested that she was strung out of perhaps maybe some mental health issues that need addressing. They dug into me for a bit more, letting her inside my house, saying that it was safety issue for both our sakes. But regardless of her following me inside, I simply nodded and apologized for it. As the interaction was wrapping up, one of the officers pointed at my garb. Nice costume, by the way. I looked down. I was still in my scarecrow outfit. With the attention drawn back to it, the itching returned instantly in full. Oh, I completely forgot I was wearing this. Yeah, it looks pretty uncomfortable. It's not that bad. Only when it starts getting sweaty, that's when it gets bad. The other officers gestured to my face. Makeup's a mess too. Yeah, I'll clean up once I head back inside. I was going to do it before all this. Well, sir, we'll be heading out then. Yeah, no, hey, thanks for the help, guys, and happy Halloween. I offered a handshake with the officer and took a turn before I waved them off and stepped back into the porch to watch them leave from my window. This reaction upon returning the car brought me back to the night. They were wandering around the back of the police cruiser, checking the doors and windows frantically. I spotted what the cause for the confusion immediately, the complete lack of a young girl in the back seat. Not a single sign indicated that someone was there. No shreds of clothing, no leftover ribbon, not even her barely filled basket of sweets. When common sense yielded no answers, none of the officers aimed their flashlights back at me. Is this some kind of prank call? They ended up staying and investigating for another 2 hours, during which my wife and son came home to find me repeating the events of the same evening for the third time. Eventually, they were satisfied enough to head back to the headquarters, getting ready to pull out the missing child alert. From what I understand, they never figured out how the girl escaped from the locked cruiser, let alone without leaving a single sign. And now, a year later, putting these memories to paper, I think I know the answer. Alicia told me as much, I just didn't want to put it together at the time. I smirked to myself reading these closing words, wondering each one first or rather just the whole existence depended on the other. Maybe it's both. All I know for certain now is I cannot write Halloween stories after this. Not while I know the cost. Even now, sitting on my lounge chair, my laptop burning in my thighs, I keep trying to think of a way to lift her back into this story. And for a moment, but even with this entirely forced sentence, remembering her little white and blue dress and the black bow, that golden blonde hair, that disturbingly pale complexion, she won't return. Forgive me, Alicia.
What's up, my pretties? It's the Lion Queen here. I want to appreciate you all for tuning into this video, and I do appreciate you guys supporting my video by giving this video likes and stuff. If you really enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like, comment and subscribe if you're new, ring the bell for notifications to when I upload so that way you guys will get updated for whenever I upload. If you want to follow me on Twitter or DeviantArt, feel free to leave a follow on those if you are interested in following me on those socials. If you want to support my backup channel, known as Miss Dark Shigo, feel free to subscribe to it, as a link to that will also be in the About page section. And with that being said, and that being the case, thank you so much for watching, my pretties, and as always, stay pretty.